Everyone, I'm Steve with HolyGrail Algo, and I wanted to give you a little update on. I've had a lot of questions say, "How do you trade this? What are you doing?" So I'm using several indicators. I've got our levels indicator. This is $9 for the year, and these are very powerful. You'll see these blue and these, I guess they call that magenta, cyan, and these are very powerful, and I trade off of these, and I'm going to show you how I do this. I also have the cumulative delta, which is my main filter. Yes, I call this a filter. I don't trade off of it, but I use it to filter my trades, what direction I'm going to trade and whether to go in a trade or not in that direction according to this, and I'll explain that in a minute. We also have our Holygrail Dashboard. That is this long and short and close buttons right here. What this is a built-in ATM. We have templates for each instrument, for 5 of them: the micro gold, micro Dow, MES, MNQ, and micro crude. Now, this will work on full size too, by the way. So if you want to use this on a full size mini contract, you can use it on those as well. They do work on those. I personally like to trade with one micro contract. That's just my trading style. I'm not looking to make $200,000 or $300,000 a year. I'm just looking to make $50,000 to $80,000 a year is what I'm doing. It's a supplemental income for myself, and I like to trade for a few hours in the morning. We also have our channel breaks. That is these red and green bands. It's a channel. And you will see, this is pre-market this morning. This is a live market right now. You will see these in here, and they change dynamically as the market changes. Then we also have our levels here. Now, our levels are very powerful. You can change the settings on all of these too, by the way. And then we also have what's called our long and short indicator. This will tell you when to go long, when to go short, when it meets certain conditions. Right here we had a long. This is like 1:30 in the morning. But it works really well. I'm primarily trading off of those, but I'm going to show you some of the other trades that I take in the interim time that's not printing. We also have our strength indicator down here, and this works really well. It comes with a built-in RSI window that changes tick by tick. This can be changed as well, and I like to trade on these pivots. You can see this pivot, it had pushed up right here. It catches that, but it's a pretty red day. But I let the cumulative delta completely filter all this for me. Here we have this is the 9:30 candle this morning. This was a short right here. Now, this would have been a good trade, except there's two things that I don't like. One is this is the very first candle of the morning, which I typically don't trade on the very first candle of the day. And two, it's a green candle on a short signal, so I typically won't do that. So I like to have a red candle on a short and a green candle on a long. And this Trandband indicator, which is right here, this recolors all of my candles. So in other words, when we're in a long condition, all of these candles are going to be green. Instead of having red, green, you'll notice that all of these are in that. Now, this is a 5-minute chart. And you can see that we're in a green condition here. And you can see once it crossed the trend band here, this was early in the morning, we went into what it thinks is a green condition. And once it meets certain criteria, then it has to break out of this trend band and go into a short condition. Now we're going short. Like I say, this, I like to micro scalp. But I like to wait till the market opens a little bit. But you can see that two things told me that I'm only going to trade shorts today. One is we're in a short condition. We're below the trend band, and our cumulative delta has been red all day. Sometimes more than others. There was at one point, there's an alert too, by the way. You can set up alerts on these if you want to do that. And I've got a pop-up and a sound alert that you can enable in the indicators themselves. Pretty cool. But anyway, I'm only going to take shorts on a day like this, and it knew this right there at the market open. It knew we were in a short condition and all the candles are red. So I know that from this right here, the cumulative delta, and from the short condition and the color of the red candles, I am only going to take shorts. So I didn't want to take this here, but I wanted to make some trades. I wanted to catch some of these, and that's exactly what happened. So what I do is I like to trade also on a 2-minute chart. Now, this was the same instrument. You can see this is a live market right now here on Friday. I'm done for the day. but let me put it back here at the market open. You can see this was the short drop right there. This was still a red condition on a 2-minute, and then it had pushed up. And when it got up into this area here, this is a few minutes after open, about 15 minutes in, I started taking shorts when it got into this range right here. And this is where I got my trades. And it had come up, rejected, come up, rejected, come up, rejected. Then it had dropped here. It broke this level. And when it pushed up, I took a short right here, and it made another nice drop. And then when it gets down here, this blue is levels of support. These pink are levels of rejection. So when it comes up, it's going to reject. When it comes down here, you can see what happened. Reject, 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 reject. I mean, you can see what happens here. So eventually it's going to break through. So I'm only going to take so many of these because I know that once it bangs on this door so many times, it's typically going to break through there. So I'm not going to push my luck, but you can see how it does this. Now I like to trade, especially when all of these converge at a certain level. Let me show you what I mean by that. When I have, let me move my chart down here. When I have several of these coming to a certain point, in other words, when I've got a trend band, a level, a channel breaks, an edge of this, when they all kind of converge at the same spot, I know it's going to be pretty strong. You can see what happened right here. I mean, we had come up and then we'd basically drop. But you know, you've got a trend band, a channel breaks, and a level right here. Now, sometimes these levels of resistance can also serve as a support level. But once it got up in here, then we had just a massive trade. I didn't catch this one here. I was already in a trade and it had dropped, and I'm just letting it relax. I wanted to wait till it pushed up. So I actually had my short sitting right up here. Once it broke down, I had my short sitting right here. Never got me in, but it broke down. But I caught my next one on the next opportunity, was when it broke down here. I had a short sitting up here, got me in, and got a really nice one there. So I'm only up about $130 after the commissions today, but I've had a really green week, and I'm up over $1,000 this week even after commission. So I'm only trading one micro contract now. I may up the ante a little bit and go with 2 micro contracts, but I'm just trading the one right now. But here's my performance for the week. This is starting Monday up till today. I'm up over $1,000. I had $114 in commission, and I had a maximum drawdown of $81. So I had a really high profit factor on that. So my longs were the best, but I took less trades on those. I only took 26 trades, or I took 76 trades on shorts. I'm just a natural bear. My instinct is to always short the market, but that's me. I know other traders that are just natural bulls. I'm a natural bear. So I really like taking shorts when the market pushes up. But that's just me. That's how I trade. But I've taken both, and it works really well. I'm at 83%. And so you can see my trades. But you can see my average trades are around $15, $16 a trade. My average losing trades around $20 a trade. I have on the MNQ, I have a 40-point stop, which is $80. But you can see that typically I'm going to lose $80. Now I have a profit trailing, so that when it kicks in, the profit trailing actually works pretty well. But you can see I've had 13 max consecutive winners in a row, and then I've had a max 2 losses in a row. So I don't usually lose much. Now, when I trade with one micro contract and I'm only using a 40-point stop on the MNQ, that's $80. So most of these prop firms, if you trade with a prop firm like I do, I've got a PA account that I've funded, and I've getting payouts on it. So I'm taking it easy with it. You know, I'm not trying to make $500,000 with it this year. I'm just making a nice supplemental income. Hopefully, you know, somewhere $75,000, $80,000 this year. So that's kind of where I'm looking at doing. But the trades on here, you would have to lose. You know, if you have a like with the account that I've got, it's a $2,000 end of day drawdown. So I would have to have, if you take $2,000 divided by $80 on your stop, I'd have to have 25 losers in a row to blow the account. It's pretty hard to do. I mean, I suppose you could do it, but if you're trading these rejection trades like this, and you're waiting for these long and the shorts when they line up, and let me see if I can show. Let's go to yesterday. Here's yesterday. Here we had a short right there. Now I wouldn't have taken this right here just because it was before the market opened. This is, and we had all these levels of support down here. Wouldn't have taken that. But you can see what happened here after, right there at the market, before the market opened here. It had really made a nice push. This was this massive run up yesterday. And once it got up here, it just kind of went flat. Not a whole lot there, but you can see some of the pivots. You can trade these pivots here when it makes these, when it makes these drops. There was a pivot after this long, and it had made these drops. Here was another one up here. Wasn't much of a trade there, but there's about 20 points on that trade. And then we had another massive pivot right here, and this was a big one. This was over 100 points. In fact, about 150 points on that. But you can see how this works. But you want to trade this when this is in your favor. Now, this works on any instrument, so if you want to trade this on, and I trade this on the MES, I trade it on the MYM, and I'm only trading micros, and I'm only trading one micro contract. I traded on gold, and I traded on oil. I did take a micro Dow trade this morning, and I want to show you how I did that. And I only like the Dow right around the market open, and I only want to trade it for about an hour, hour and a half, and that's it. I don't like to trade it much past that. You can see here we had this long, and I took this trade, but what I did was the Dow is pretty finicky, and it will actually, so it printed this long. I didn't take the long here, but I waited for the pullback, and I'm using the level right here. So what happened was it pulled back down to this level. I entered my trade here. It still dropped down a little bit, but it wasn't much. But then it made a nice shoot up, and I grabbed this trade right here. Later in the day, you can see we had another short. It would have still been a good trade because it really dropped down, but I typically don't like trading it too late in the day. It's getting close to 11, and it was a green candle. But this is how I trade the micro Dow. It's not a whole lot of points. I mean, it's only 50 cents a tick, but I trade it with a couple of micros, so I get about $1 a tick out of it. So it's not too bad. I've gotten $30 and $40 on some of my trades on it, so it's pretty good. And I'm only looking to, $15, $20 a trade, and if I take 15, 20 of them a day, they really add up. Here is gold. Now, gold is an interesting character, and by the way, I like to trade it on a 5-minute. You can see right there, I would not have taken that trade this morning. This is early in the morning. We had a red candle. Still would have been a good trade. Come right down to the trend and in the trend band, and then pushed up. We had this long right here, about 7:30, and you can see what happened. It knew that it was going to go long, and it sure did. It made a nice run up. And usually I like to trade gold right around the market open, sometimes a little before, and I don't like to much trade it past about 11 o'clock or so. It just kind of winds down. The volume's not as much, and I like to trade it with the cumulative delta. I'm using this cumulative delta as a filter. So in other words, I want the cumulative delta on gold to be between 300 to 500, because obviously it's not going to be as high as the cumulative delta on the MAQ because the volume's less. So I will trade that in my favor on those. So I'm letting the cumulative delta be my filter on that. And today was an oil. We had oil reports today, so I don't trade oil on days that there's reports, but it still would have been a good trade. You can see how it looks. We had a nice little short right here. I didn't take this because this is early in the morning, and I was really focusing on the MNQ at that time. A little hard for me to focus on multiple charts at once. The long was a good one, but with oil, just like with gold, now I trade the oil on a 3-minute. I just seem to like it best on that. But what happened was I don't take it here. I wait for the pullback. Now sometimes I will miss a trade when I do that. I get it. You can see the cumulative delta on the MNQ, by the way. Look what it's doing. It's going up here. But anyway, the oil had pulled back. And this is where I would normally wait for it to come back to a level, and this is where I'm going to take my long, and it would have been a really nice one. I didn't get that one there, but that's typically how I'm going to trade oil on that. And so on the MNQ, let me go back here. You can see what's happening here. The the cumulative delta is now, it's only looking back 5 candles, but out of the last 5 candles, we're starting to push. Now this is where, when it gets to this level, what's going to happen is I'm only going to take longs once it gets to this level. So I want it to push up above these things, wait for a pullback, and take the longs on them. I do the opposite if this was red. So if we're coming down and this is red, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for it to push up into these areas here, and I'm going to take the shorts on these. Now these are just micro scalps. I'm going for 10, 20 points on a lot of these, and I've got a tight trail that I do when it's really choppy. Today it's been pretty choppy in this area here, but we're starting to make some moves out of it. You can see the RSI is starting to get a little bit better now. And on the 2-minute chart, I don't use the cumulative delta, and I don't use the strength indicator. I like those on the higher time frames, but I still will use my Trandband, the channel breaks, the levels, and the Holygrail Dashboard. So I'm using both of these to my advantage, and these indicators are all $49 for the entire year. And you can manage these. In other words, if you want to move your software license from machine to machine, you can do this in about 30 seconds. We have videos on our website. Once you sign up, you'll get access to those videos. It'll walk you through how to change from machine to machine, and how you can control your complete billing account. So if you want to cancel at any time, you can do that. If you want to change your card at any time, you don't have to ask us. You can do this yourself. It's really cool how it works. And some of the trades that I take, because we've had a lot of questions like, well, how are you doing that? In the coming months, as we get into the fall weather, I'm probably going to start using 2 micros, and I'm going to double up my. Obviously, my risk is going to be a little bit higher, but my reward should be good, because I'm perfecting what I'm doing here with just 1 micro. Because if I can perfect it with 1 micro, then I can do this with multiple micros. So anyway, I want to show everybody how I trade and what I use and how I use these tools. They work really well. You have movable dashboards on these, except this one here doesn't move, but all the others, you can move these around. You can resize them, and it's pretty cool how this works. You can see right here that we have a cumulative delta that is pushed up. Now it's dropping. It got up to 2,800. Now you can see what happened. It's pulling back down. This is why I like to wait till this gets 2,500, 3,000. That's when I feel comfortable taking that. Now when it starts dropping down below that level, then I'm gonna ignore these things. You can see we've got some heavy levels down here. But again, this is Friday afternoon. It's like lunchtime. I'm done trading for the week. I'm not going to make any more trades, and I don't really typically like Fridays on this late in the day. So anyway, thanks for watching. Happy trading. And if you have any questions, you can email us, info@HolyGrailAlgo.com. Check out our other videos that we've got on our YouTube channel. You can also check out our posts on X. I post my trades nearly every day on x.com. You can find us on there, HolyGrail Algo, and we also post in our Discord. So thanks much, and we'll catch you in the next video.